Okay, so what if you could measure the entire story of a civilization, not by its art or its wars or its leaders, but by the pure, raw energy it controls? That's the mind-bending idea behind a framework called the Kardashev Scale.
I mean, it's a huge question, right? How do you even begin to do that? Is it about how wise they are? How long they live? The Kardashev Scale just cuts right through all of that noise. It proposes a totally different way of looking at it, one that gets down to the absolute basics, a species' ability to shape its own destiny.
And there it is. Think of it like a cosmic report card. It grades civilizations on just one thing: how much energy they've mastered. From the power of a single planet all the way up to an entire galaxy, this scale gives us a kind of roadmap for what any species, including us, could one day become.
So where do we land on this cosmic ladder? Well, right now, humanity is sitting at about a 0.7. Yeah, that's right. We haven't even hit Type 1 yet. We haven't even fully mastered our own home. But this number isn't a bad grade. It's just our starting point. It really shows us how much room we have to grow.
So that first big leap is becoming what's called a Type 1 civilization. This is the stage where a species stops being just a passenger on its planet and actually becomes the pilot. It's all about achieving complete and total control over every drop of energy on its home world.
And look, we're not just talking about putting up more solar panels and wind turbines. Not even close. A true Type 1 civilization would harness everything. I mean, imagine tapping into the raw, destructive fury of a hurricane, the deep geothermal heat of a volcano, or even the incredible tectonic energy of an earthquake. Absolutely no energy on the planet would go to waste.
This represents a massive shift in how a species relates to nature. Right now, we endure nature. We build seawalls and we just hope for the best. A Type 1 civilization would manage nature. They could literally weaken hurricanes before they make landfall, redirect rain to end droughts, and even stabilize tectonic plates to prevent earthquakes. The planet becomes a fully managed garden.
But, getting to Type 1 isn't just a tech problem. It's a test of cooperation. Can a species get over its own internal squabbles, its wars, its greed, its self-destructive tendencies, and actually work together as a single planet? This massive hurdle, well, that's what some scientists call the Great Filter. It's a point where countless civilizations might just fail and flicker out of existence.
But for any civilization that actually makes it through that filter, that unites its world, well, the scale of their ambition just explodes. They go from mastering a single planet to becoming true architects of the cosmos.
Just think about the sheer jump in scale here. A Type 1 civilization masters its home planet,
But a Type 2 civilization harnesses the entire energy output of its home star.
And a Type 3? A Type 3 civilization commands the power of billions of stars across its entire galaxy. The leap in energy between each of these steps is it's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
And of course, each level requires a completely different kind of toolkit. A Type 1 civilization is building planetary-scale energy grids. But to get to Type 2, you'd need to build something like a Dyson Sphere, a giant megastructure of solar collectors that completely surrounds your star. With that kind of basically infinite power, things like interstellar travel become trivial. And a Type 3 civilization, they'd be doing something called astroengineering, literally reordering star systems, maybe even manipulating black holes to power their galactic empire. So, what happens when you've harnessed all the matter and energy in an entire galaxy? Where do you go from there? Well, the scale has to evolve. The next steps are about moving beyond the physical universe and into a realm where you're engineering reality itself.
And this is where science fiction really starts to feel like a plausible future. For a Type 4 civilization, the fundamental laws of the universe, the things we think are fixed, they're not rules to be obeyed anymore. They're just variables that can be tweaked.
So, what does that actually mean? It means they would have the power to change things like the speed of light or the strength of gravity inside a specific bubble of space. It's like having administrator-level access to the source code of the universe.
And if a civilization can engineer reality, well, it can almost certainly simulate one perfectly. Which, of course, raises that mind-bending question. Could our entire universe just be a simulation? A cosmic sandbox created by a Type 4 civilization for them to study, or maybe just for entertainment? We can't know, but it's a direct logical outcome of this level of power.
But hey, why stop with just one universe? A Type 5 civilization would take it even further. achieving mastery over the entire multiverse. They could navigate between different realities, manipulate them, and even create entirely new universes, each with its own unique laws of physics, moving between them as easily as we flip through TV channels.
Okay, at this point, we have completely left the building when it comes to normal physics. The final stages of the Kardashev scale are really less about technology and more about the nature of consciousness and existence itself. We're talking about beings that are basically gods.
A Type 6 civilization would operate from outside all realities. They don't just create universes, they can actually rewrite the fundamental meta-laws that allow universes to even exist in the first place. They're like cosmic programmers, editing the source code for all of existence.
And then finally, there's Type 7. This is the theoretical endpoint. A Type 7 civilization is no longer a player in the game of reality, no matter how powerful. It has transcended that role entirely. It is existence itself. It's a level of being so total, so absolute, that it's basically indistinguishable from what many of our cultures would call God.
Which leaves us with one last, really deep thought. The Kardashev scale isn't just a ladder of power, it's also a ladder of purpose. As a civilization climbs higher and higher, the big questions change from how do we survive to how do we create, until you finally reach the very top. And maybe the only question left to ask is simply, why?